Now the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE seems like it's the S24 Plus, but wrapped in a more affordable package. But did the cost saving hurt the phone's overall flagship experience? Well, I have that answer after using this phone for a week. Now at first glance, it looked very similar to the S24 Plus, but with a few differences. The S24 FE is just slightly taller and wider than the S24 Plus, and it also comes with a flat and a glossy glass back instead of the matte finish on the S24, and it's a bit of a fingerprint magnet, but since the color variant that I have here is in blue, where it is bright, so it was not that visible. And if you're the kind of person who gets your phone scratched easily, the good news is that it comes with the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus Plus at the back. Then the flat aluminum sides feels really good in the hands, making the phone really solid too, and it's also IP68 rated. Now the camera placement is identical to the S24 and the S24 Plus, but the camera bump are a little raised compared to those two phones, and yes, I will discuss about the cameras later on in this video. So yes, like the flagship, the phone's design and build was indeed flagship level quality. So huge points for that, but how does it fare in terms of the display quality and the brightness? Well, that is what I'll cover next. So the bezels on the phone are thicker than the S24 Plus. Now this is because the phone doesn't use an LTPO Super AMOLED display like the S24 Plus. Instead, it used the more mainstream Super AMOLED display. And while the display doesn't go as bright as the S24 at max brightness of only 1900 nits, but it was still very good because I had no issues here in a very bright studio or even under bright sunlight. Now Samsung is quite known to produce some very high quality displays on smartphones, and I'm happy to see that they haven't left out their magic here, since this FE has a beautiful screen and great color saturation and lovely deep blacks. Now even though there's no adjustable screen resolution, but I felt that it didn't matter at all as the screen quality was already really great. Now even the large bezels are quickly forgotten the more I use the phone daily, especially with the nice and a flat screen design. Then finally, the optical fingerprint sensor at the bottom was very fast and accurate and had a very nice placement on the screen as well. Now in terms of the camera performance, the cameras are using the seamless setup on the S24 Plus with a 50 megapixel wide camera and a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera as well. Now it does loses out a bit on the telephoto camera at 8 megapixel compared to the S24 Plus's 10 megapixel telephoto camera. There's also the 10 megapixel selfie camera, again slightly smaller than the 12 megapixel on the S24 Plus. But enough talking about specs, let's see how the camera performs, shall we? Now the phone produces fantastic images, as you can see over here. It is definitely one of the best in the business, especially for smartphones within this price range. The images produced by this phone has sharp and nice saturated colors. Now while some may say before that Samsung often produces overly saturated and processed colors, I personally felt that they have lowered that down recently with a more true to life colors. Now based on my test, I did notice a bit of a haloing going on when taking pictures against a white background as seen in this particular photo, and while it's not really distracting, but it's something that probably should be pointed out. Then the main lens has up to 5 times zoom and still produce excellent results without any significant quality of losses. And even the 30 times zoom produced somewhat of a great quality picture, although I'm not sure who is going to be using this particular mode and go all full spy mode unless you're trying to see what your neighbors are up to. Otherwise, just don't use that mode. 30 times zoom? No point. Then portrait shots are also quite good, where the blurred lines doesn't look too official and the phone managed to pick out the details really well. However, when it comes to the objects, the camera struggles a bit to distinguish certain details. Then the ultra-wide camera also delivers amazing results. And the color consistency between the ultra-wide lenses and the main camera was really great, with no lens distortion even present at all. Then when it comes to the night shots, the pictures also look good, and the camera has an auto night mode built in, which produces pictures with great detail and solid contrasts, as you guys can see. However, the dedicated night mode brings up the overall contrast and producing even better balance of the details and the shadows as well. So it's nice that Samsung has provided the auto night mode and the dedicated night mode for you to see which fits you the best. Then selfie pictures also look really great, where the pictures were sharp during the day and the skin tone looks natural, which did not make you look like Annabelle from the Conjuring movies, which some smartphones tend to do, especially within this price range. Then portrait selfies also look good, with the results looking very similar to the portrait shots taken for the rear camera. But the selfie pictures really struggle in low light, so I would just totally avoid taking random selfies in the dark. Not only because people might think that you're a weirdo, but the pictures won't turn out as good as the daytime shots. Then as for video, the phone did much better than I thought it would. It can capture up to 8K at 30 frames per second, and the quality of the videos taken are spectacular. As you can see with this video sample, so if you're someone who loves to take videos on your phone, you'll be very happy with this. The default stabilization was also surprisingly very good, with no warping issues that could make your video look very jelly-like. Now as usual, it has the super steady mode, which basically uses the ultra-wide camera to shrink it to have a more stable video, but honestly, by 4K, it still looked very great. Then as for videos taken at night, it also looks decent, although it's not as good as the ones taken during the day, but it was still quite bright even in low light conditions as well, where the image stabilization also works wonders here. So yeah guys, all in all, the cameras on this phone can proudly stand toe to toe with its bigger brothers here. Probably not so much on the selfie photos at night, but if you are more into gaming, you want to hear what's coming up because this phone has some surprises in store. But first, here's an audio quality test using the front camera for a vlogging situation for you to hear how does the audio recording is. Alright, so this is a vlogging test using the front camera. I'm in the studio right now. There's an AC blowing straight at the camera, so hopefully it can cancel out that particular noise or the air blowing at the camera. And this is an audio test. Test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2. And of course, this is 4K 30 FPS for the front video camera. So let me know what you guys think of the audio quality on this S24 FE in the comment section below. Now, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, a nice big thumbs up would be very much appreciated, and a subscription will be lovely too. Thank you very much in advance, my friends. Now, as for gaming, firstly, in case you didn't know, this phone comes with the Exynos 2400E chipset, which is the same chipset for all of the S24 FE models all around the world. So yeah, there's no superior version of the Snapdragon version of this phone, yeah? Now, this Exynos 2400E chipset is slightly an underclocked version of the Exynos 2400 in the S24 and the S24 Plus. And while it's not powerful compared to the flagships, but it makes up for better thermals and a more balanced overall performance. So I had a similar gaming experience on this phone as I did on the S24 Plus, and I managed to play all of the games I've threw at it almost flawlessly. So I played a lot of COD Mobile at max settings, and the frame rate stayed consistently at 120 frames even after an hour of gameplay. And of course, I had to test Genshin Impact, where I had a great time at max settings, where the frame rates were very smooth, running about 30 to 40 frames. But be prepared for an increase of warmth after very long gameplays, but don't worry, it's not hot enough to fry an egg, just warm enough to remind you that it's working really hard and for you to stop playing games and start working more. And if you're wondering how is the battery life during heavy usage like this, let's get into that next. So the phone comes with a 4700 mAh of battery, and while it sounds small, but so far I had no issues going through the whole day with just a single charge. I managed to get a total screen on time about 7 hours and 32 minutes with quite heavy use of messaging, social media apps, and even very heavy gaming. It supports a max fast charging speeds up to 25 watts, and while it's not the fastest by any means, but I can still get about maybe 50% with around 30 minutes of charging, and that is very fast enough for me. Now, speaking of fast, if you feel like I'm going too fast or this whole video is too fast for you, and if you want something slow paced where you can take your time to read it, well, we do have a written version of this review at our website at www.adamlobo.tv, where we also have daily tech news over there too, so links to that will be down below. Now, as of the recording of this video, the software on this phone is at One UI version 6.1, so it comes with all of the latest features that Samsung has to offer. And as you all know, the biggest thing about One UI version 6.1 is the addition of Galaxy AI, which is a very big step in the smartphone AI world, being the first to introduce features like Circle to Search, Live Translate, Note Assist, and more. And now with One UI version 6.1.1, it comes with the latest AI features such as the Portrait Studio and Sketch to Image, where all of these features work incredibly well and enhances the overall experience using this phone daily. Now, apart from Galaxy AI, all of the other One UI features are still present over here, and it's still one of my personal favorite Android skins so far. Now, sure, it's not flashy like some other skins out there, but I just love how cool and clean and very intuitive some of the features are. But one thing that Samsung does way better than any other Android smartphone brands is the fact that it gets software support up to a whopping 7 years of software and security support. So if you do the math, it has an official support until October 2031. That is amazing if you really think about that. So, in conclusion, this Samsung Galaxy S24 FE is a fantastic device that perfectly carries on the FE legacy, and it is a worthy addition to the S24 series. It's got great cameras, a great UI, a beautiful display, and it can game very well too. It starts at a price of 3,299 ringgit, which is about 766 USD. Now sure, there is a case to be made that if you spend a bit more, you can get the Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus, which is overall a better device. But if you want to save some money, then this phone is a huge no-brainer.